Welcome, everybody, to the Independent Mind podcast. As always, I am your host, DJ Mixwell, and I am with my boy, Giovanni. How you doing, my guy?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. We have a super exciting guest today, and I just can't wait to hear his story and to start picking away all the knowledge he has to offer.
Absolutely. So today's guest is my barber for a long time. He's seen me grow up. He's running for North Las Vegas mayor in 2022. We got my guy, Robert Taylor, Twixx. How you doing, brother?
How y'all doing?
Good,
I got my
man.
bail. It's all good. I heard the bail. It's official. It's official now.
Yes, sir. Man, glad to have you on.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been you're definitely one of the first people that I thought of when we first started doing the podcast. So definitely dope to have you here. So for the people who don't really know you, why don't you give us a quick little background about who you are and what you do?
Okay, I'll try to condense that. So my name is Robert Taylor. Everybody calls me Twixx the Barber. I'm 43 years old, born and raised in the city of North Las Vegas. I'm a barber and a multiple barbershop owner. So I'm a franchise owner of Fatal Mall Barbershop. I started when I was 23 years old, my first shop. Now I'm 43, so exactly 20 years from now, I opened up my first shop. And since then, I've had currently or in the past 6 barbershops, 5 salons, a tattoo shop, a used clothing store, photography business, Twixx Entertainment promotion company. I do a lot of things.
Oh yeah,
this man does it all. All right, so I guess with the bar, let's start with the barbershop first. Walk us through on what really got you started to start doing haircuts and then leading into owning your first shop and then expanding from there.
Okay, so it started off when I was a kid. My mom tried to cut my hair and she messed me up. You know, she went to Kmart.
Oh, I know those stories.
She bought some $12 clippers and gave me a $2 fade. You know what I mean? With that being said, after she messed my hair up, I had to try to fix it. I was in 6th grade. So after I tried to fix it, I said, okay, I didn't make it good, but I made it better. So I cut my hair for my entire grade of 6th grade. By the 7th grade year, I started cutting all my friends in the neighborhood. By 8th grade year, I was an official bootleg barber, meaning non-licensed barber, right? And I was cutting everybody pretty much in North Las Vegas at that time period. So my senior year in high school, I thought I'd be like a multi-platinum rapper because I've been rapping my whole life also and dancing. But, life started going fast and getting serious. I said, you know what, let me go to barber school. So I went to barber school right after high school, got my license, went to a shop. I worked at Creative Cuts and House of Fades. It's the same people, but they changed the name. So I worked with them for 3 years and got my own shop. Never since then, it's been on.
That's awesome.
Shit, that's dope.
Yeah.
So from there, once you got your barber license, what was the process from doing that and then starting to cut and then going into your first shop? Like how did that come about to start Fatal Mall?
Got you. So the transitions from there, once I got my license, I'm not going to lie. Like I thought I had enough clientele to where once I got my license, it would be financially all good, but it wasn't. I realized that if you're in a barbershop 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, you need more than 60 clients. I had 60 because I wrote it down before I started. So you need much more than 60 clients to be able to get ahead, right? So when I realized that I didn't have enough clients, I started making these free flyers that said, not free flyers, I mean these flyers that said free haircuts by Twixx. And I was passing those out because I believed in my skills. I didn't have enough clients. So I was passing those out. Like on my break, I'll go to community college in Cheyenne, pass out the flyers. And then once I got you in my chair, I believed I was good enough to have you come back. So I tell a lot of people, sometimes free can make you a lot of money. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's what got me to that point. So once I finally started building my clientele up and, things are looking good, I have my daughter. So now things are looking good. The shop I worked at, long story short, they had a bad lease and they had a meeting with us. Like if a barbershop ever tells you we have to have a meeting, it's all bad because there's no reason at a barbershop.
Right.
So I knew it was going all bad. So in the meeting, the owner's like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but we signed a bad lease. We didn't understand it. And they were young. The owners were young too. So it's like, we signed a bad lease. And long story short, in 2 weeks, we have to move. We was like, what? You know what I mean? And it's like, we got option A and option B. Option A is that it's going to take about 3 months for our new shop to open. So you have to cut hair at home. Or option B, go to another barbershop. And I hope you guys, have enough loyalty with us to stay with us, right? So that's when it hit me to where I can't let no man, no woman, nobody give me the options in my life, And thank God I was saving up money to buy another car. So I used that money instead of I wanted to buy the big body Jaguar, right?
Oh, nice.
The big one. So this is in what is this, 2001. So instead of me buying a car, I my boy Bozy owned a studio called Jam Time Studio on Lake Mead. And I know they had a vacant spot next door. I've never talked to a landlord. I've never been through any of that. So I just called the number. Well, I got the number from Bozy. I called the landlord, Evan, and Evan told me how much to give him. I gave him the money and went through faith. And my first barbershop had 5 chairs. And I ended up filling up all 5 chairs in less than 6 months.
Ooh,
and that's how I ended up getting more and more and more and more. And it worked out really good.
Damn, that's really dope. We've talked about it before in a previous podcast that I've mentioned, like with DJ gigs, that some of my best opportunities and the best things that had happened to me from doing music were doing things for free. So that's really dope that you mentioned that, because I really feel that.
I think just very quick. I think that's something that quickly gets overlooked by a lot of people. They'll let their ego get to them, or some weird part inside that thinks that they're worth more than they are when they're starting off on something.
Right.
To where doing things free is the quickest way to get clients going with no cost to you other than your time, which is all that you have starting off.
Right. So when you believe in your craft.
Exactly. Yes. Like I guarantee that helped catapult you forward.
It did. And let me add to what you said too. Like you said, it doesn't cost you anything but time, right? And all I was doing was sitting down, wasting time, not having appointments. So I'd rather is a 2-for-1. So 1, I can attract a brand new customer, right? The 2 part is once I'm cutting their hair for free, other clients who are in the barbershop see I got skills. Now they're like, oh, he is good. So now people are noticing me who I wasn't cutting, and the people I'm doing for free come back. So that's how that happens. That's why sometimes free can make you a lot of money. You did.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and you're damn good with it too. Trust me.
Hell yeah, man. Every time I see him, I'm like, God damn, I gotta go see your barber, dude.
All right, so you get your first shop, and I feel, which is fucking amazing, by the way. And so what was the process from there? You have your first shop, you fill up all your seats. So from there on, what made you, and how did you get to that second shop and then going?
So that's a great question. So people who work at your business have to believe in your vision, and even if they're not 100% in, they have to be at least 70% in, or it's going to be all bad. You're going to have bad product. When I opened up, the internet wasn't booming like that, but now it's booming. So Yelp will kill you, it can make you or break you. We have all word of mouth, and word of mouth is still the most, to me, solid thing that people go by. So once, my barbers believed in what we're doing, one thing I did too, also, because I was able to have cheap rent. This is the business part of it. Let me go back so my people could understand this. So the shop I worked at, I was paying pretty much $220 a week in booth rent, right? The shop I owned, my rent was only $500 a month. So if you do the math, I was paying $880 a month to work at somebody else's shop versus me owning my own shop for $500 a month. So automatically I saved $380 by owning my own shop. Nobody's going to tell you that. See, nobody's going to tell you that sometimes it's cheaper to own your own business to work for somebody else. That means do due diligence and do the math. So that's one thing, right? So by that being the case, me personally, even though I had a 5-chair shop and I was the only one there at first, right? Well, I got a guy named Jason Himes. He actually was the first barber working my shop. So he worked there before I did, because technically in Nevada, you can't own your own shop if you're not a master barber. I was an apprentice barber. So I had to take my test again. So another barber started my shop, and then I came a few months later. So shout out to Jason Himes. But with that, I made my booth rent cheaper than most barbershop because I was able to, because my rent wasn't $2,000 a month. My rent was $500 a month. So my booth rent was dang near $50 cheaper a week. And I was still coming up compared to other barbershop owners. So one, that's got barbers come to my shop fast, right? And two, that packed us out. So once that happened, instead of me getting the second shop as fast, they're building next door the studio and the moving. So now it's another vacant spot. So I said, you know what? Instead of me just find another location, how about I take my money and open up next door? So I opened up 4 more chairs and put a hole in the wall. So then I had 9 barbers. So now, right. So then from the 9 barbers, then I took that money that I got for Divas Only Salon that was in the same complex. Then I took that money. Then I got the nail shop next to the salon. Then I took that money. Then I opened up Fata Mall West. Then I took all that money, opened up Fata Mall 3. I took that money, then opened up Fata Mall University and PhD Salon. Then I took that money, opened up Fata Mall Centennial, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the big thing is, I feel like you should never put all your eggs in one basket. If you do that, if one business ends up failing, it could fail. It had nothing to do with your business. It could be the property owner sells the property. And you could, I've been bought out. 2 of my shops got bought out, by the owner. And eventually, if I didn't sell, they'll wait to end of my lease and I was out. So that being the case, don't ever put all your eggs in one basket. So to me, I don't feel comfortable. I never feel comfortable, period. But I won't feel comfortable with one business because if something happens, it's a wrap. Look at the pandemic, what happened.
It's extremely unsecure as well. If you only have, one stream of income, you only have one thing keeping you afloat, keeping you off the streets, like anything can happen. But like you mentioned, you kept branching out multiple different streams of income. One of them can go bad, but it doesn't matter when it's only, 10% of your total empire.
Right. Diversifying.
That's fucking, dude, you're a genius. I love the business mindset.
I got it.
So you start getting all your locations. When, because you're the man around town, so you're also throwing events as well.
Yes.
Also walk us through what you throwing events. Where did that start, and then what were the plans going from there when you started, and then into what you're doing now?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to keep like I say, I got some stories. So, so now as we know, I started cutting hair in 6th grade, right? I started rapping in 2nd grade. That's a part of my life also, right? But I started doing parties in 4th grade at C.C. Cox Elementary because I was the rapper at the school already. Like every holiday at school. Remember in school how we have the morning announcements? They're like, good morning, class, right?
Yeah.
So I was able to do all the holiday raps, and I was writing my own raps in 2nd grade.
Right? That's so sick.
Right. So I'll do the Halloween rap. I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Christmas time. Some, so, so that's what I was doing every holiday. And I was known for that in school. So my teacher in my 4th grade year, she came to me and said, hey, Robert, can you be the DJ at the next dance? I said, a DJ? She said, yes. I said, I'm not a DJ. She said, but you rap. I said, okay. She said, that means you know all the hip and cool songs. She said, all you got to do is play the music. She said, and you're getting paid $20. $20.
In 4th grade?
4th grade at C.C. Cox Elementary. So when that happened, I asked my dad, and I was like, Dad, how can I be a DJ? He told me to get 2 tape decks and put the microphone in the middle and have all your songs queued up on tapes. And when one song's about to end, you press play, you fade the one out manually, press play, take that out, put the next tape in, and keep going. So when I did that, it went really good. So I ended up being the DJ at CC Cox for my 4th grade and 5th grade year. So when I went to junior high school at J.D. Smith in North Las Vegas, I went to the principal and said, hey, I've been DJing for 2 years.
Yeah.
And I DJ here.
5th grader coming up. Like,
I feel, you know what I mean? So I'm in 6th grade now. I'm like, okay, I'm in junior high school. I said, can I DJ? And it's like, now we have a professional DJ, so you can't do that here. So because I feel like I already started having a crowd from DJing, I asked my parents, could I throw parties at the house for junior high school kids? So my mom and dad was cool and let me throw these day parties from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. in my backyard. So for years, my parties started getting bigger and bigger at the house. Once I got in 8th grade, even though 8th grade is junior high school, I got to the point where you had to be in high school to come to my parties. So in eighth grade, I had high school only people, unless it's my close friends who were eighth grade with me. You had to be in high school to come to my parties. So now my name is buzzing with all the high school kids. So by the time I get to Cheyenne High School, I'm already known for throwing parties in North Las Vegas. So that just trickulated to me. Now remember, I was cutting hair in sixth grade. Now I've been throwing parties. So now when I'm cutting your hair, I'm telling you about my party. And now at my party, I'm telling you about how I'm cutting hair. That's called piggybacking. The business term's called piggybacking. You know what I mean? That's why when you go to Walmart, you usually see a GameStop, you usually see a Pay for Less or whatever, because Walmart is the anchor. And other businesses move where the anchor is going. The anchor is the most successful business that brings the most traffic. So to me, I realize that I am the anchor. And that being the case, I piggyback on myself. So when I'm cutting your hair, I'm telling you about my party. When I'm doing my party, I'm telling you about me cutting your hair. So all this built up and built up. So by the time I graduated, I'm doing like big 18 over parties, right? I moved to Long Beach to go to barber school. There wasn't any schools in Nevada at the time to be a barber. So everybody my age and my time period had to move to a different state to go to barber school. So when I got back from Long Beach, now I've been doing all kinds of stuff in California. I'm an extra on the Gregory Hines show. I'm all up and down Hollywood at nighttime doing these talent shows, winning talent shows, me and Shorty. So now I have even more of a Hollywood presentation when it comes to showmanship. So when I get back to Las Vegas, when I got my barber license at 20, now it's a whole nother level. So once I ended up getting my clientele up from me cutting hair, I was able to put more money and invest in myself. You know, you're a DJ, you know how I go. You invest in yourself and your equipment. I invested more into my production and my my marketing. So now my parties are looking bigger, you know, and that's how I ended up piggybacking. To this day, I do the same thing. I piggyback on myself.
Yeah, I see it all the time when I'm in there getting a cut and you have an event coming up. It's always people who are walking through. Yeah, like just recently doing the Floyd fight. So still to this day, you still piggyback and seeing the looks of the video that you posted.
Thank you.
Still successful events after a pandemic. This man.
Thank you. It was packed. That was my first event. The Floyd fight viewing I just did at Echelon was my first event since 2020 February. I could have thrown a lot of events since then, but me personally, you know, I'm about the community. So I wanted to wait till I felt like it was safe for me to do it. It's not about the money. It's about making smiles, you know, and you can't make smiles when people are, you know, you're messing their health up and people are passing away, you know. And
definitely.
So I waited till I felt like I was more secure as a people to do events.
Can't get those smiles too when somebody's wearing a mask as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you brought up something there, like you highlight your care for the community and like, you know, your servitude towards the community. And you seem like you're a very well networked person as far as, you know, partying, you know, hosting these different events, making valuable connections with people. Recently, you announced that you're going to be running for North Las Vegas mayor in 2022.
Yes.
What got you to even start considering that? Like, is this kind of like a spur in the moment dream, or is this just another step on the way up?
Got you. Great question. So I've helped a lot of politicians run and I've helped a few win, right? A lot of politicians know that if you tap into the barbershop, you tap into the community, especially the Black community, right? Things are changing more now. Like back in the day, pretty much only people who got their hair cut once a week were Black men. But now a lot of people get their hair cut get cut more than once a week, as Mixwell can tell you right now. Yeah. And now everybody's staying fresh. The fade now isn't a race thing. The fade now is a universal thing. So with that being said, you know, the barbershop, you'll catch more men at a barbershop than you'll catch at church, to keep it real. So that being the case, a lot of politicians have been using the barbershop to promote. And I'm like, you know what? I'm always helping these politicians out. And I'm all about the community. I've been doing for the community over 20 years from my heart, not for a nonprofit, not for my fraternity. I'm a Sigma. I'm Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, but not because of my fraternity, not because of anything, but out of my own heart, right? So now I said, you know what? It's time for me to take a leadership role and change to me, the negative narrative they have of people in North Las Vegas. North Las Vegas is a beautiful city, and a lot of people need to recognize that. And I'm one of the people who's going to try to put that on the map and change that narrative.
Hey, I respect that. I'm a real estate agent. So Like whenever, I'm heading into North Las Vegas, like whenever I'm presenting that to a client who's a local, there seems to be a negative stigma around it. Even like in the Whitney area, like a little bit north of Henderson, off Boulder, there's another area that gets a really negative stigma, but there's little pockets there that are now developing. And, there's like care going into these communities and they're becoming flourishable, living areas. And for you to say that about North Las Vegas, I think you have a great opportunity there. Because like you mentioned, like a lot of people have a negative connotation of what North Las Vegas is, but in reality, it can be a beautiful place and it's already developing that way.
Thank you. And to me, people don't look up numbers. You can look up numbers yourself. You can see the city has 430,000 people. North Las Vegas has 225,000 people. It's actually it's a bigger chance of a person getting murdered in the city of Las Vegas than North Las Vegas. So the homicide rate is higher in the city of Las Vegas than it is in the city of North Las Vegas, but nobody knows that because people don't look up numbers. People put a negative connotation because it's 33% Hispanic and it's about 20% Black. Because of that, automatically it comes with that whole so-called minority. And I'm not using that word minority because the key word of minority is minor, and minor is anything that's little, not serious, not
inferior.
Successful. Inferior. So I don't even believe in that word minority, because if you say you're minority, then you're going to act like a minority. You did. So it's all about changing the narrative and letting people know it's great people here. And then also not getting taken advantage of. Like where I live at right now, there's no healthy place to eat. So I have to drive to Centennial or drive south to get healthy food. Why isn't it healthy food by me? I have to drive through 2 zip codes to get healthy food. Your health is your wealth. You are what you eat. You are what you see. All these things are into it. And that's another reason I'm running. Me growing up, all those schools I mentioned, I've been doing things that my whole life. I've never had a politician from the city of North Las Vegas ever come to any of my schools to talk to us. To keep it real, if y'all think about it, you've never seen a politician from the city of North Las Vegas ever do a commercial. Ever. Even during elections. Ever do a commercial, because they feel like that people don't know. People don't even know it's a different mayor in the city of North Las Vegas. People don't know when you're in North Las Vegas, when you're in the neighborhoods, the street signs are blue. When you're in the city, they're green. When you're in Henderson, they're brown. See, these are little things that people don't even know when you're born and raised out here. I'm here to shed a light to that. The reason it's called the Meadows Mall is not because it's called the Meadows Mall, it's because we're Las Vegas. Las Vegas means the Meadows in Spanish. So that's the Las Vegas Mall. Yeah, you got to have somebody who's happy and proud about Las Vegas. I'm proud of North Las Vegas, and that's why I'm running.
So ring the bell for that. Ring. Right. So 2 questions. When you win North Las Vegas mayor, what are some of the first plans? And then the other question is, who are you going to let DJ, and why is it going to be me?
I like that. And you're definitely on the ballot. You're definitely on there.
We'll go ahead and start campaigning for you, dude.
Already, right? Yeah. So one of the first things I want to do is have a project called Section Great. I'm working on my nonprofit right now. So for those who don't know, it's a thing called Section 8. That is a government project to where it's low income housing, and usually it's for women who there's not a father around or an active father, and don't have multiple kids, and they give them a discount on their living and food stamps and et cetera, et cetera. I have no problem with safety nets, right? Those are called safety nets. But what I do have a problem is not breaking that chain of the net. Because if you do statistics and look at the numbers, of course, if you live in a Section 8 neighborhood, it's a higher chance your child might not graduate. It's a higher chance something might happen to your child. It's a higher chance of all these things, right? So my thing, Section Great, is letting people know once you're able to go from Section 8 to buying a house, it changes everything. And that's not just people in Section 8 in general. That's for everybody. At every first, you're going to pay rent or pay mortgage, right? When you're paying rent, it's a thought process, because you're trying to hustle and bustle to get your 2 checks that month to pay rent for the first. So you're like, I pay rent again. All right, hustle and bustle, rent again. When you buy a house, right, and you get that normal fixed 30-year, real estate, that 30 years, you're like, okay, if I'm 25, I'll be 55 when I finish paying my house. If you don't do it in 15 years, right? When you say I'll be 55, you're like, wow, my child is 3 now, so my child will be 33. Wow, I need life insurance for my children. Wow, I need this. When you own real estate, it changes the way you think because you're not thinking about the first anymore. You're thinking about longevity. And I'm big with especially men, especially black men. If you think in your head, I'm going to be a grandfather one day, I shouldn't get this tattoo on my forehead. Certain things like that. And I'm not judging them. I'm being dead serious. When you think of the long run, certain things you're not going to do. I love tattoos on necks, but I don't have one on my neck. You know why? Because I knew over 10 years ago I was going to run for mayor. Not saying I couldn't run for mayor, but I'm already black. And to keep it real, I would be, if I were to win, I'll be the first black mayor in Nevada's history. So if I had a big old tattoo on my neck that said love for barbershops, it would make it harder from the visual aspect of who I am. And, it's already sucks enough that I have to speak eloquently and let people know I have poise and et cetera, for them to know I know what I'm talking about, for them to vote for me. But to have that on my neck already, I'm casting a shadow on my so-called personality. So all these things go into when you are a homeowner. And let's go to the other aspect with my Section 8 campaign, my Section Great campaign. When you buy a house, then you're able to have equity. Once you have equity, now you could, if your daughter goes to college, your son goes to college, you could actually help pay for that college, which changes a lot of lives. Now you have equity, you could take that money and buy your business that you want and change your life. You can change your life through equity. As my man knows, the easy, I don't say easiest way, but the most successful way to become a millionaire in America is what? Real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're playing Monopoly, you can't win unless you have what?
Properties.
Real estate.
And if you don't have real estate on Monopoly, all you're doing is what? Paying somebody else and hoping to get that government check when you pass go. You
going to jail.
And going to jail.
So there's kind of a pattern that I picked up. First you mentioned it whenever we spoke about minorities. You mentioned how much you hate that word and like the image that it gives, the inferior, like it makes people feel inferior. The word literally means that. It seems to me like you have a very victimless approach to the way you carry yourself and the way you want people to carry themselves in a society that's very victim based. Currently, what's going on? Do you have any plans on targeting that, or like some sort of do you want to add a voice to that as far as empowerment rather than empowering being a victim?
So that's twofold. I like that question. So first, I don't want to ever get it twisted. Yes, systemic racism is real, super real, right? And it's a lot of things that held people back on purpose. And it's not because of you, him, her. It's things that were set years ago. And you could look it up and see how in the GI Bill after the war, white people were able to get houses and blacks weren't able to get houses. And I just told you what happens when you own a house and with equity. When our grandparents, great-grandparents own property and pass it down, you automatically have a great start. So a lot of black people couldn't even get that and served in the war. So not only do you have PTSD, now you can't even own a house. And now you can't even get a job. And now you can't even use the same restroom. So I don't ever want to get it twisted. I'm not that guy. Yes, I am so-called successful. And yes, my sister is super successful, right? But we still come from North Las Vegas real estate. And we still know we live in a city where it's redlining. Yes, we do know my neighborhood was next to the garbage dump. We do know it's more pollution where we lived at because of redlining, because you couldn't buy houses in certain areas in Las Vegas. So I don't ever want to get that twisted. I want people to know it is real. But you have to move forward also. And I am big with moving forward. So I'm not no Uncle Tom. I'm with none of that. I'm with the reality of what happened in history, and people need to know what happened in history. But also now, okay, what you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? If it's a track race and you're a foot behind, yeah, of course, when it's over, you're like, man, I was a foot behind. We gotta run faster. So my goal, me being mayor, is to push that foot to at least about 6 inches at least. So the next person could push another 6 inches. The next person could push another 6 inches, because that's how you get progression. So yes, I'm big with, we have to move on. We have to do this. But yeah, things did happen, because if you don't know the past, it can happen again. Look at certain bills getting passed right now to stop people from voting. You did. So all this is a part of it. No one is growing.
So once when you're 2022 mayor of North Las Vegas, we often see, like, even currently and even just before in general, we don't ever really see them in the community at all. So can we plan to see you in the community? And then where are some places that you would plan on targeting and going to keep on spreading everything that you're going to do?
Great question. I plan on being so busy. Like, listen, a lot of politicians, once you get the job, like, you only got to meet twice a month here and once a month there. And after that, nobody really putting accountability to you. Put accountability to me. I'm going to be so busy. I'm busy. My whole life I've been busy. So I'm retiring from cutting hair. I know. I'm sorry, brother. I'm retiring.
I got to get in. I got to get in soon.
Gets my house calls.
Me and Mix will talk about time. But I'm retiring from cutting hair just so I could fully be involved as being mayor. I've spoken at every high school in North Las Vegas except Rancho because I haven't got asked to come there yet. I've never turned any school down in Las Vegas, peer school. I go to the juvenile on the juvenile detention spot off of Pecos and Bonanza. I've talked to them. Boys and Girls Club. I'm literally everywhere. Yeah, I'm, and it's not just Black people or just North Las Vegas people. I'm about people, period. I help out people of all backgrounds, but I'm focused on North Las Vegas. So yes, I will be at the schools talking to them, letting them know, you can be what you want to be. Look at me, and how being a positive person can change your whole outlook on things. And, when you think good things happen to you,
Which is really dope.
It's a lot. I just want
with the way that you'll be attacking the community, I think it'll be really good because you're gonna give so many people hope that, hey, I come from this area. Yes, I do own these businesses, and also look where I'm at right now. Like, if you want to see the change, you got to be the change. And sometimes that's right. Taking that leap of faith to being a North Las Vegas mayor or whatever it is that's government based with the state or wherever else it may lead you in the future. And for the youngsters too that follow your footsteps and take on their own path. Unfortunately, you said you're going to be retiring from cutting hair, except mine. And I know you said this before, but for someone else who may have seen it, what are your plans with still kind of cutting hair, and who would it be for?
Got you. So I get asked all the time, are you gonna cut hair still? So I'm retiring in general, but one thing I'm not gonna retire from is I always cut hair for, different schools have a homeless population people don't know about, right? Like Cheyenne has about 29 homeless kids at Cheyenne High School.
It's crazy.
And people don't know that. I only know because there's certain counselors who let me know when I come to Cheyenne, I cut their hair. I go to Mojave and I cut their hair. So I will be cutting their hair still. I still will be cutting hair with kids who are part of different foster homes, and certain back to school haircuts for people on lower income. I still will be doing that as mayor. And to me, like, what more way can you give back than just saying, hey, I'm here, than to actually do a service for somebody? This is from me, from the community,
That's what creates the best leaders, the best servants to their community. That's awesome.
And Twixx has always been for the community too. Like, yeah, so I've seen you in many times, like at the Fata Mall Centennial shop, where you have given, some kids that would have a harder time finding a job or, let's just say some mental health. I guess that would be the easier way to put it, which is really dope because you've given them the opportunity to do some little work at the barbershop, sweep some hair or whatever the case may be. And you've also gifted them as well with cool ass things. So just much props and much respect to you, because I've already seen you do it on the barber level and the event thrower of Twixx. So I can only imagine what North Las Vegas Mayor Robert Taylor is going to do even more so onto that level. Really excited for that.
Thank you.
So fast forward to now, with you doing all that, are you going to still have ownership of your barber shops? Is that still going to be something that you're a business owner of? or do you plan on passing it down, selling the business, or what's the plan on that end?
So my nephew Trey, who's like more like a son to me, he's a barber now also. If it wasn't for him, see my other son Israel Taylor, he's going professional boxing. He just graduated from Cimarron High School. Shout out to my son.
Hey, congratulations to him.
I was going to send him to barber school first, and then he's going to go pro. But now he said, you know what, Dad, I'm tunnel vision. I'm going straight pro. So to answer that question, if I didn't have them in play of cutting hair, I would just sell them. You know, I'll probably sell to my barbers and whatnot. But because Trey, my nephew, is still a barber, and he's, matter of fact, nominated to be Barber of the Year in Las Vegas.
Which I voted for. And y'all should too.
Thank you.
We'll drop the link for that as well. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so with that being the case, you know, hopefully, you know, he can get to the point to where he could buy them off me or, you know, take over them. Or like I said, other barbershops who've put in that sweat equity of being there are able to, you know, purchase it and it'd be all good.
That's super dope. So when and these are just different questions that I've just been waiting to ask as well. Are you still going to be like throwing events as well? Like, are you still going to have like that community reach of it too? Like, are we going to be seeing the North Las Vegas mayor like keep on throwing events?
So what it's going to turn to, it's going to turn into fundraisers. And then now when you're coming, when whatever the price is, whatever your donation is, you know, it's going towards the campaign, you know, nice. and let's say I win, then it's going towards community events because I have no problem spending my own money on doing things for the community because I've been doing that anyway. So to me, my whole thing is to be mayor, but still do what I do. I've been giving back and I've been throwing events for the community. I just did AIDS and STD testing at both of my shops I have right now. Well, 3 could count the salon. I've been doing that. So now being the mayor, of course, there's some funding I could grab, but I still want to have some funding that I could do out of my heart because that's something that I believe in and that's why I'm running. Like I tell people, like if I win, we win, period, because I'm running for the community.
Yeah, definitely. And we just, like I said earlier, we just don't see, I don't even know who the North Las Vegas mayor is right now, other than you in 2022. You just don't ever see him. You don't, I think it kind of falls back in line to what you're saying. Like they only have obligations, just only a few meetings a month, and they kind of just get that position. And then that's it. They don't, you don't see them out in the community helping. You don't see them. You just don't even know their name, period. And I think that's just overall pretty damn sad for when you got someone who could be helping the community, whether if they're black, white, Mexican, purple, whatever, yellow.
Right.
I feel like if you're in that role, you have the duty to be trying to make that city better. So I definitely see that in your plans that you are going to make it better, in my opinion.
Thank you. That's my goal.
Do you have like, are there any other plans? Like once when you're in that position, is there another step forward after that to try to get to like higher state level or maybe try to get to the White House, or what's the plan from there?
I'll tell you my whole plan right now. Sometimes you can't tell people your plans because your dream might be their nightmare. I understand that, but I'm putting this in the universe. So this is my goal. I run 2022. If I win, I want to do 2 terms. Because if I win once, I'm going to win again because I am going to show and prove everything I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Sure. So everybody's going to vote again because they say, okay, he's really about the community. During my second term, I will buy another property in the city of Las Vegas. So after my second term is over, then I will run for mayor of Las Vegas. Right? I only plan to do 1 term in the city of Las Vegas. While I'm doing my 1 term in Las Vegas, I want to open up a junior high school of entrepreneurs, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. And the goal is to teach them financial literacy, home ownership, life math. If you have 2 parents, the chances are your child can be much more successful. I don't care what demographic you're in, 2 men, 2 women, whatever it is, 2 parents at home. You have a much better chance of getting your child to the next level because you have 2 incomes coming in, which changes the zip code you may live in, which changes the schools your kids may go to, right?
Yeah, facts.
I want to show these children how you could be an entrepreneur. what the word mean, entrepreneur, these certain words we're using, piggyback and all these words. So by the time they reach high school, they already know. And if we could pump out 1,000 kids, right, in 10 years, imagine 1,000 kids thinking that way. That could change a city. 10 people can.
Yeah.
We could change the world.
Change the world. So after I have that school open, then I'm bouncing. I'm moving to Africa. That's my whole plan.
Damn. Fuck, I really won't get my house calls anymore.
Yep.
I'll be going to Trey at that point. Hopefully he's still in Vegas.
That's my plan.
So, damn, that's really dope, because I forgot who I was having the conversation with the other day, but I was talking about how in high school that like going to, I went to Arbor View for a little bit before I got expelled, and then went to behavioral school, tried going back the next year. I gave it like a week or two and I was out of there. Mm-hmm. And then finally went to Desert Rose. Is that what it was?
Desert Rose, yeah.
Yes. Desert Rose, yeah. And that's where I graduated. Him and Giovanni, me and Giovanni 8 years ago today, actually.
Yeah. He had the memories show up. It was
the memories on Facebook showed up. Yeah. Which was a long path for both of us. So for anyone listening, you know, there's doesn't matter the skin color, our obstacles to get there was fucking hard. Right. But not a lot of people get lucky with what they want to do. So like for me, I found DJing at a young age. I found it at 14. And then once when I was 15, I was already doing house parties and progressing forward. My problem with school was because there was I didn't gravitate towards nothing. I was always shit at math, and English was just a whole nother language for me. And I think it's really dope that if there was something like what you're talking about for entrepreneurs and stuff like that, that would have been something for me as a young troubled youth that would have grabbed my attention, and probably who, you know, would have put me on a different path and on a better path. You know, still had my troubles when I was 18, caught 2 DUIs, went to jail again the next year, and then just went to jail last year. So even with all the great things that I do, I still always have had that, you know, that teeter-totter effect where music goes up, personal life is kind of, you know, that troubled person is still in me. But I think if I would have had something that was like, okay, here I am, 14, getting into music. Let me teach you entrepreneurship. Let me teach you the business aspect.
Imagine a producer would have came to the school, you know, and said, I'll produce music, and this is how I got here, versus the normal traditional way. Like, I have nothing against college, right? But let's do numbers again. If I'm not mistaken, and we can look it up, but it's something like 5% of people who start the first day of college graduate college. So that means 95% don't. How are we pumping that?
Yeah.
How are we pumping something where 95% people don't even do it?
A 5% success rate. Like,
so it has to be another way. Like when I left Cheyenne High School and went to Votech, I'm not gonna lie, it changed the way I thought. Because at Votech High School, one, I was getting a vocation, but two, the teachers really cared. Cheyenne was a cool school back in the day. I was one of the first kids who started when it opened up. You know, if I stayed there all 4 years, I'd have been the first student in 96 to do all 4 years at a brand new school, because it opened in 93.
I grew up going to Cheyenne football and basketball games. My brother went
Cheyenne was the place.
Like 03, 02, who's fucking crazy.
But the teachers didn't care at Cheyenne. When you have teachers who care, it really changes. Look at me right now. Remember the teacher asked me to DJ in 4th grade?
Yeah. And how much that played a role.
I'm still trying to find her. It's hard back in the 80s, you know, it was 80s. If I could find her, she probably won't remember me. And if she's alive, I hope so. I want to give her a gift because she changed my life. And that's the importance of having the right teachers in play when it comes to our kids. And like tapping their brain, tapping something that makes them interested. I believe everybody's full with information. It's just the information they have. You might have a kid who doesn't know anything about math, but he can rap every Lil Wayne song or whatever the new rapper is. He can rap every one of the Roddy Ricch songs. That's still information.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Right.
our minds are cups, and they're filled with so much information. But how much information is used in school, where he wants to be okay, he's interested. Now you could tap into that mindset to get him where he needs to go.
Yeah, that's I really feel that, because when from middle school all the way to my last couple of years of freshman year and then into sophomore year, I've had teachers and counselors in front of my parents said I wasn't going to do nothing in life, called me like just downplayed me so much. So it's like, you're absolutely correct. Like, you have teachers who do care, that can play just a massive role into what you're going to do into the future.
Absolutely, man. And like, I think a really important thing is you mentioned like junior high, like, 6th grade through 8th grade.
That's when you got to get them.
Facebook's a beautiful thing, because if you have an old account, you can see glimpses of your past documented, and they just get shown up right in the front, right in front of your face. And for me, often it's like showing up these different posts from 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, when I was in junior high or just entering high school. And I'm seeing the things that I'm writing, and they're steered towards entrepreneurship. They're steered towards individual, independent mind thinking. But that was not at all my surroundings. That was not at all the schools. I was getting expelled. I was getting suspended, getting kicked out of schools, in and out of juvie at that age. So all that I had was all that I had was YouTube, and then some forum post. And that's what that itself has impacted me so much. And just by having a damn phone, or a screen, but I had to go out and seek it myself. Now, if I were in a school, or, a kid can grow up in a school that's teaching you these things, or even a household that's teaching you these things, I can't imagine like light years ahead they will be by the time they enter the adult world. I had to start a business. I had to fail my business because I didn't know shit. I knew I want to be an entrepreneur from all this, from all like watching all these videos growing up and like creating this mindset. But I did not have the tools. I did not know the tools. I did not know the systems.
Right. I want to tell you this, man. Congratulations to y'all, because where you're at right now is dope. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would never imagine that, y'all went through hard times on that aspect of being bad. Like the reason I said junior high school also, because junior high school, people are trying to find themselves.
Huge.
In high school, you kind of, it is. In high school, you kind of are who you are. You just kind of hone it more when you become an adult. But in junior high school, you're trying to figure out where to go. In junior high school, I was bad. I got RPC so many times. I almost didn't pass.
I haven't heard that word in forever.
RPC. I got RPC so many times. Yeah. It was bad, but once, I have to say this because it changed my life also. When I went to Cheyenne my 9th grade year, I was still trying to be a little knucklehead in my neighborhood. We were still trying to, gang bang, whatnot. I joined a group called the Sigma Beta Club, and that is a youth group under Phi Beta Sigma. And now check this out. I had a mother and father in my life. My father stayed with my mother till he passed away, married. Both worked the job. So you can have that in your life and still go the wrong way. You know why? Because you're doing what your friends are doing.
Yeah,
you're doing what your peers are doing. Yeah, and I thought I was a leader. I thought I was a leader, but I still was doing what my peers were doing. So that could easily happen, So when I became a Sigma Beta, when you become a Beta, you have to do community events. You have to like paint houses on the west side. You have to clean up trash. You have to go to elderly homes and entertain them. You have to do good things. And that's when I really felt the joy of doing community service in 9th grade. So that's why I've been doing for the community since then. And I became a Sigma in 2001. Main reason is because so I can help out other Sigma Betas in high school, because that changed my life. So who am I not to do that and give it back to them? So even though I'm crazy busy, when I can, when they call me like, hey, Twixx, we need you for the Sigma Beta event, I'm here. Or how much it costs, here you go. Because that changed my life. So I do want to give a shout out to my fraternity and the Sigma Beta clubs that changed my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. That big shout out to them. And I've ran into you guys before. I think it was like the Martin Luther King parade down on Fremont when I was working at 97.5.
Yep. So that's when I first met you. That's when I first peeped you out. So I'm like, oh, he's dope. Okay, okay.
No, that's interesting that you bring that up with finding them, because it's almost the same. It was pretty much the same thing with me when I moved back from North Carolina. I was so busy with sports, and then came back to Vegas, and then that Vegas just fucked me up, and then that's when all my trouble started beginning. And I mentioned earlier, expelled, and then stopped going to school and all that. But when I was like 15, 16, my brother and my nephew's other uncle, they had a group called TNG Music Group. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be a part of it. They're all about like 9 to 10 years older than me. And my nephew's other uncle, Sebastian, he told me, because I was asking, I was like, man, how can I be with your guys' group? Because they were doing, they're throwing events, they're doing charity work. They're doing stuff that I wanted to do. They had a few music artists. And he told me, he was like, man, your little ass has to stay out of trouble. So that's so him. So yeah. And I've known him almost my whole life. So when he was telling me that, it was basically like my brother telling me like, yo, you got, it hit home. So once when he told me that, that's what basically got me to go back to school senior year and get all my credits, my proficiency tests. And that's how I was able to graduate by getting that little spark up my ass, almost like you found that group. And then that was, basically part of the change. So it's really dope. So I really connect with that. And that's really huge. And I think that's where people always hear from their parents saying that, like, you are who you hang with. And it sounds so corny, but it's like, it's pretty fucking true.
So accurate.
It's really true. Like,
right.
You once you start getting with people, and even as, I'm sure even with your age, us, we're 25, 26. Mm-hmm. That still holds true. Yep. If you're with some people who are not doing as much and you have all these aspirations and dreams, if you're with people who are like not doing that, that still somewhat affects you. So it's like, it's something that still holds true no matter really the age that you are.
And that even goes to your relationship, the person you're with. Like, if you are big on having aspirations and goal driven, and the person you're with might love you to death, but if they're not, chances are it's not going to work because they don't see that. Yeah. And eventually you have to have somebody who understands, okay, we have a vision together. This is our vision. If you have somebody who's content, what they're doing is like, well, why are you doing all that? Why you want to get your real estate license? You already had a job over here. Why are you trying to do that? It's not guaranteed. It's not going to work. So besides, as kids, we had our crew, but now it's your woman, the woman you're dealing with, or if you're a woman, man, whatever you're dealing with, whoever you're dealing with, to be on the same accord with you, because that could, change everything.
No, that's very, very true. Very true. And I've seen the best of them fall from getting into a relationship, and the person that they were with wasn't on that same type of mindset, or even if they weren't on that same mindset, they just weren't supportive of it. And you damn near just see the best of them go down and lose their dreams or aspirations, or you sometimes get where it's like, all right, whatever, it doesn't work out, on to the next. Not stopping.
Like, as entrepreneurs, right? As success dreamers and chasers, we need to be able to motivate people. We need to be able to like instill the change that we want to see in the world and people around us, to have them believe in our cause so they are able to support us, fulfill our future. And I had the same problem with my spouse, where like we weren't seeing eye to eye as far as for aspiration and as far as for scope of how we want to contribute to the human race, not just community, not just within our family, but like how we can contribute to our species, to the whole world. And for a very long time, I battled with this. We'd get into a lot of arguments, we'd get into a lot of fights over this, because I felt like she was being too minimalist, and I felt like it was impacting me. I felt like I was letting it get to me. Right. And I had my brother-in-law tell me something really, really impactful. He asked me, what's one of my biggest aspirations? And it was to be a man of influence, to be able to help out and help rise people, to be able to enlighten people, to be able to help people fulfill their true desires. And he's like, how the hell do you plan on doing that when you can't even impact the person closest to you. So that for a moment, like he told me this about a year ago, and it's completely shook me. Like from then, because now whenever I see, my spouse like not seeing eye to eye on something, it's not her fault, or it's not like this person isn't aligned to me. It's me. Like the thing that I want to be, I'm just a damn phony. I can't even do it to the person who's like giving me the most ear time, the most time for me to be able to inspire them. And like, since I've started to realize that I've changed my approach, and now she's starting her own thing, and now she's like stepping into the entrepreneurship, and now we're starting to see more eye to eye. But I feel like if I was just like, fuck it, this person isn't preset to think like me, it's not going to work, I would have lost out on that love, which at the end of the day is the biggest supporter that you can possibly have.
Right.
I think it's important to mention that, like, if you're trying to be an influencer and inspiration, like, be sure that you're able to inspire the people around you first.
Right. Yeah. And I'll say this, really try to do, because everybody's not going to get it. And that's not your fault. I listen to NPR News a lot, right? Because I love driving and getting information. They say every day you forget one thing you've learned. So I try to learn 2 things a day. That way I'm always on point, right? So they had a memoir from an escaped slave who was able to read and write, right? And it wasn't Harry Tubman. It was a man. I can't remember his name though. But in the memoir, he was saying how around like pretty much 2 a.m, he would go to different houses and would try to, free slaves, right? But a lot of slaves were scared to leave. They didn't know what to do. They're like, no, we're staying. He's like, what? No, we're staying. So after so many times, so many slaves, a lot went, but a lot stayed also, right? The person that was helping him asked him, he said, man, I can't believe that they're scared to be free, right? And he said something so deep and compelling. When I heard this, it made a teardrop, and I'm not a quick teardropper. He responded to him in his memoir. He said, everybody can't go. Some people are too far gone. And that's when it hit me, man. I said, God damn. Everybody can't go. Some people are too far gone, And with that being said, I was like, wow, the thought of people who were enslaved and had a chance to be free and was so scared to be free that they stayed in bondage is the saddest thing ever to me. And how much do we have to be tricked in for 400 years to get to that point, to think that way? And that's what inspired me to tell y'all my journey to where I'm moving to Africa at the end. Because me being I'm American all day, right? I never been to Africa, you know what I mean? But I know that's my root, you know what I mean? And for me to think I can't go there because I can't go there, I don't know what they're doing out there, I'm acting like the slave who was scared to leave.
Damn. Sheesh, that's deep. That's deep. Shit. What both of you guys said, that was really fucking deep. Man, that's a couple bell rings itself. Holy shit. The bell will speak for that. Man, we appreciate you having you on, Twixx. Man, I got one last question. And about like a 60-second response. Tell us what does success mean to you?
To me, success means that your kids, you raised your kids right, and you produced human beings who can produce positivity to the world. That's what success means. You can have $1 million, but if your kids say you're a bad father because you're a scumbag to me. You can't floss nothing you did. You can't say I did all this and your kids don't respect you. So once again, like everybody can't go. So you have some kids who just won't see it that way. But in the general thesis, we're here to create and add to. So your kids are your creation. So if they can't help you add to what you're doing, I don't care if it's stepfather, stepmom, the children that you're helping produce, if they don't look at you that way, to me, you're not successful. It has nothing to do with monetary value.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's so well said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. For sure. Yeah. All right, everybody. This is the Independent Mind Podcast. We just had Robert Taylor Twixx running for North Las Vegas Mayor 2022. He's going to win.
Yes.
He's going to let me DJ,
Yes.
and he's still going to cut
Yes.
my hair. All right, everybody. Appreciate you guys checking it out. We'll be back next Friday for the new episode of the Independent Mind Podcast. I'm Mixwell. That's Giovanni. That's Twixx. Robert Taylor, 2022 Mayor. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, y'all. Peace.